I think the whole essence of pitching is taking off your marketing and salesperson hat, right? And being a conduit of information. And I think that's what you do so well. Even though you have such an experience in sales, you're able to take off the hat and not sell your business and your programs, which obviously you are a for profit business. We know that you want to get featured to help your business, but you're not leading with that, right? You're leading with an angle or an insight or a discussion point. So I love what you said about that. Can you talk to me a little bit more about the nitty gritty about pitching and when is the best time to pitch? Maybe best practices about subject lines that you've learned?
Yeah, thank you. It's hard to say like this has worked or that hasn't worked because in the beginning, when you're just starting out, when you're cold pitching, you really just have to, it's a volume and numbers game. You really have to send out a lot to get some bites back. The platforms that I use were Haro, and later on I used Quoted as well. But really just being intentional and not just like ignoring the Haro emails, but really, being active and trying and pitching really does help. I use a control F feature a lot in the Haro emails because I know they can get really heavy and inundated. So I have my keywords that I search for, which is health insurance for me. So I think that's a tip that could help others as well when you're feeling a little overwheelmed in the beginning phases with that level of volume. Headline wise, I do a lot of A/B testing. I send out, half pitches with one subject line and half with the other. I try to make it catchy, punchy. Time is one of your tips that you use. So I definitely put timeliness and time relevance in the subject line, and those things have helped.
Right. So things like the healthcare changes coming your way in 2022 versus just, without a timeliness on it.
I'll give an example, Gloria, for one of the pieces of press that I received was a 2022 forecast, 7 predictions for what lies ahead for health equity. So me having a public health background is actually, more than half of my press is not about health insurance. It's actually about public health, which is interesting to me. But that was an example of how this was, I think, Q4 of 2021. So
Mm,
that timeliness helped me get featured for this piece in
yeah.
Fierce Healthcare.
I love that you just took all the stuff in the PR starter pack and ran with it. Haro is really great, but obviously, I don't know if you know this, but in the starter pack now, we've upgraded to a searchable tech enabled media database. So you can actually do custom filters, which was not something we had when you joined. So now
Yeah.
it's so much easier from a UX point of view. So, in terms of the actual body of the email, right? Obviously, follow the CPR method. If you don't know what that is, go to gloriachoupr.com/masterclass to learn. How do you close the email? I think a lot of people feel awkward to like ask to be featured. So what's the best and easy way to just sign off on the email, but give them a little nudge to be like, hey, I'm interested, interview me?